with that decision, then I've got some questions.
Sure, no problem. And before we move on, I just wanted to further address your question because I found the slide I was looking for. The slide that is titled Natrona Hills Current Coverage 850 Megahertz UMTS. It has both existing sites and planned sites in the red triangle.
I have current coverage, I have coverage proposed site alone, coverage of the planned site, heavy industrial location, 850 megahertz, coverage of height reduced by 20 feet, proposed location, 850 megahertz.
There's something that says current coverage 850 megahertz UMTS on the top. Looks like this. It should be, I hope these are labeled with exhibit numbers for you because I understand how that can be confusing.
Is this the last one?
Sure.
I have a copy of all the advice set, if you want me to just pull it out,
Please,
to
yes.
make sure you have it.
And the only reason I bring this up is because it speaks directly to your question about the coverage from the existing sites, and it actually has the existing sites labeled. That's the one.
Yeah, I don't, that doesn't appear that this map is part of the packet that we received here.
I apologize for that, sir. This is part of what was submitted to the county.
Okay, thank you. Sure. Mr. Well, he's not here to speak in his defense, but a previous representative before this body said that there was, someone can correct me if I misremember, that there was an FCC requirement that emergency response capabilities be provided by AT&T. Thought about that a lot after the meeting, and as a resident, as a previous customer of Earthlink, which became T-Mobile, and then now Verizon, never had a problem with emergency response anywhere up and down the interstate. So I don't see that that's justification by itself for the tower. Number two, if you'd like to comment,
Sure,
is there an FCC requirement that every carrier provide emergency coverage up and down the interstate?
I can't speak to what was said before because I wasn't present at that meeting.
Fair enough.
And Cheryl perhaps was, so she might be able to speak to the exact comment. What I do know is that the FCC does not allow discrimination among providers. And what that means is that if we're in a neighborhood and say AT&T has a license, an FCC license to provide coverage in that neighborhood, but there's already, let's say, T-Mobile coverage or Verizon coverage that is giving you the emergency response. The federal law says that one cannot say AT&T, we already have T-Mobile coverage, we don't need that coverage in the neighborhood, without a plausible reason why. That's what I mean by not discriminating amongst providers. That's the only thing I can think of that might speak to that comment. I don't think, I've never heard of any FCC requirement to provide emergency coverage, but I'm coming at it from the legal side. Cheryl may know coming at it from working with AT&T directly in that sense, and since she spoke to emergency response, I'll let her respond.
I really don't know much else to respond to except for what I said before. It's a priority of ours to make sure our customers have the ability to reach first responders if there's an accident along Route 25 or wherever they are. That's our responsibility as a company.
Sure.
To make sure that they can do that, and that's why this site is so critical to our network design.
My understanding, my experience has been that if I'm not able to get coverage through my particular carrier, roaming connects me without any issue. So we'll go from there. My next one is, one of the things that it said that the construction and installation of this tower would not significantly alter the character of the neighborhood. Sorry, I disagree. I'm pretty sure that everybody in that room behind you disagrees with that statement. So I'll leave that one as it is. The balloon test. I believe the newspaper said that was supposed to go from 6 p.m. to 3 p.m. Didn't. Was on. Left there, going in town, came back, never saw a balloon. Done the Hollywood there, talked to some neighbors. If you look at the photo, the two balloons are like this. Obviously, we've got wind allowing. And I also noticed that the photos with the balloons that we saw here do not. The photos in the packet were taken very carefully to the north, the south, the east, and the west. If that camera view had moved about 10 degrees, you'd be looking at this gentleman's front yard. So to look at this, to think that there's nothing out there, that this is going to affect someone's property, sorry, I disagree again. And if we have to have a tower to cover AT&T's, then I can see where we're going to have a tower for Sprint, for Union Wireless, for Mountain West Telephone, or T-Mobile, and yes, your coverage may not have a gap there, but I can't see where we're going to put 5 more towers out in the middle of the neighborhood, so every individual company has coverage. I'm pretty sure that, based on the conversations that I've had with my neighbors, you will have a hard sell providing AT&T service to anyone in that community. Now, if the community is totally discounted and all of your services coming from that interstate, you know, I guess that's a little bit of a misrepresentation of us for why this house is being built very good. And I don't know if I'm telegraphing my opposition to this, but I am in opposition to this. So, I'm done.
Are there specific questions you'd like us to respond to at this time?
Yes, ma'am. 81.
Okay. So there's a question.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, I'll take one. I know we do have AT&T customers in the area, and there was testimony at the last planning and zoning that someone said that they had AT&T and they didn't have good coverage. I don't know who that resident was, but it wasn't identified. But so I know we do have a significant gap, and it's that priority to provide in-home coverage is as important as providing the coverage along I-25. Again, so many people in Wyoming, as in the nation, are wireless only. And so there is an increasing amount of demand on us, on our network, to make sure we're providing that. We have a responsibility to our customers when they decide to go wireless only, that they can reach who they need to reach when they need to reach them. It's our responsibility as a company to do that. And so that's why this site is so very critical, not just the I-25 gap, because I understand, some of the concerns about why are we putting it in our neighborhood if we're just trying to cover I-25, and I understand that. But particularly, we're trying to cover those customers within Homa Hills. And the other issue too, because it's at the height that it is, it will be co-locatable with other carriers. So if there are other carriers who are interested in needing to provide service there or have a gap there, the tower is at such a height that it's probably co-locatable by, I would say, at least 1 or 2. You probably know better than I do.
2, there's about 20 feet that's needed. So there'd be at least 2.
So one of the other priorities or that the county requires, is that you contact other people to co-locate on the existing towers. Have you? I'd like to have some names of the other companies that were contacted.
Sure. If our alternative sites analysis speaks to the alternate sites that would provide service to this gap. That was Exhibit 13 to the project narrative.
Mm-hmm.
One was the existing water tank that is south of the site. That's an existing structure. The other was the existing Verizon tower. The third, that the priorities team requires us to look at our existing tower sites on Casper Mountain. Then the fourth, heavy industrial zone property. The fifth, light industrial zone property. And, excuse me, I'm off on my numbers, but the second to last priority, the ranching, agriculture, and mining zone property, and then finally the urban agriculture zone property. This document sets forth the reasons why those higher priority sites would not work. In terms of who is contacted on the water tank, I think Cheryl can speak to that name.
I just know that it was done with our previous vendor, which I know that all of you had experiences with him, and I apologize, and no longer associated with that, but I know there were issues with access to that, to the water tank, and furthermore, that water tank did not provide the in-home coverage within Homa Hill. So even if we could go on that water tank, it still didn't provide the gap, fix the gap in Homa Hill. So regardless, and Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong, even if we were on the water tank, we'd probably still have to be in the current proposed site.
Okay, and where I'm going with this is, did you contact Mountain West Health, who has a tower in the middle of Home Hills right now?
Can you tell that location, sir?
Yes, ma'am. It's 9075 Mohican Road. It's on the back corner of my property. I don't know. If you didn't ask, you don't know.
All right.
Well, sir, with your permission, I will check on that, and I will get you a straight response.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Again, that was Mountain West.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Chairman.
Chairman, I'd like to ask lady, so as I understand the process, just so that I better understand the process, you select a site based on topography, primarily, I guess, with the site. We've got the map here that shows the easements to the site and the site. Do you have an understanding with property owners for the sites, or with the property owner of this site and the access? Is there an option already purchased, or how does that?
Sure.
How does that fit?
The way that AT&T operates is they lease the ground from the underlying property owner, and in this case, the lease has been executed with the underlying property owner. That lease includes permission for the easement for utilities and well, for access. Utilities may be an easement with the utility provider. That's basically how it works. And that's how it has worked in this property.
So it's already purchased for the site.
Cheryl, please.
This is what you're asking too, is that there are contingencies built within our leases. And part of those is if we do not receive approvals from the jurisdiction, then the lease is basically null and void, because that's part of the contingencies built into the lease.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We may call you back in a few minutes.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that.
Okay, with that, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this agenda item?
Get in line, boys.
Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this agenda item?
On the property out there, the 40 acres where they want.
Name, please.
Glenn Bray,
Thank you, and your address?
7880 Spencer Road
Okay.
in Casper. I want it for mainly financial reasons. It would supplement my retirement income greatly. The only comment I have is that why somebody wouldn't want it is you get used to seeing these towers and the posts all over. And that's the only objection I could think of anybody having is in their sight, but very shortly they would not see it again. It's just, like I have a 40-foot pole, 50 feet from my front door. I don't ever notice it. But anyway, I really want the tower financially. And I got it for livestock, and I no longer have livestock. I thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brink. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this agenda item? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this agenda item? Now, I can see where this is going, so now I'm going to have to limit you to 5 minutes. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this agenda item?
Yep, that's the way it's gonna go too.
My name's Garrett West, at 1453 West Hornsby Road. This tower will be in my front yard. While he gains financial security, I lose my property value. And that's something I want to address. My son eventually will retain the property. Maybe it's up for sale for some money you, but the tower goes in. See if you'd be willing to pay me what I want for it. One of the deals is the proposed location is in the lowest portion of Homa Hills, and it's going to be the biggest obstruction out there. And where it's located is, there's nothing else, as has been said before, there's nothing else out there. And as you look out my front door, you're going to see a tower. I did see balloons at 6:30 on Saturday morning, and they were pretty vertical. So they were there, but they didn't last very long. I have to say, AT&T withdrew the last deal was because there was a lot of inadequate information. It was not because they were trying to cooperate with the homeowners. They proposed inadequate information that we were highly against. I go back to the stigma of health concerns and property values. What, is anybody interested in buying a piece of property with a tower in front of it? Yes, it does benefit one person that does not live out there, but we as the homeowners live out there, and we have to look at it as our property value decreases, what his property value, or he gets a financial benefit from it. I'm not going to say, you know, sell the property, if that's the case, but I guess it did. I guess my last thing to say is how safe is driving and talking on a cell phone. If I-25 is such an issue, last I heard it was not a very safe thing to do as driving down the highway and talking on cell phones. And I don't have anything else to say.
Hi, my name is Charlotte West. I'm Garrett West's wife. I also live at 1453 West Ormsby Road. Just short and sweet, one of the issues with the fact that this tower is located in one of the lowest portions of Homa Hills is the fact that it is going to be met with structures, hillsides, lots of bluffs and rocks and other obstacles. Anybody that knows, is familiar with Homa Hills know that there are quite a few collectors that live in the area, some that have some pretty large fences. So it is a hilly terrain, which you all know. The other thing that I think is also important in regards to property value is that most people associate electric towers, cell phone towers. You know, I realize that they're stating there is no health risk. However, people are frightened of the health risk, which would be a concern for us as property owners that are on the adjacent lot of that property. No one is going to want to buy our property because they would be afraid of the possibility of a health risk. We don't know, there hasn't been the testing to prove anything otherwise. There are migratory birds that are in our area. We have a pair of bald eagles and we have several pairs of golden eagles that do come back every year and nest in those areas and raise their young. So, you know, I don't know if that is a factor, but I know that it can be a factor in some circumstances. The other thing I would like to ask about would be the 1 through 8 location. They have mentioned that they did, that the gentleman before did make the request of coexisting with other locations, the water tower, the Verizon tower, and I don't really recall the specifics of the third one that they mentioned. It has been proven that that gentleman that supposedly did those requests was not honest in his endeavors to locate this tower, and that's why the motion was put on hold, because the location had to be resurveyed because it was not in the accurate location for county standards. So it's just our request as homeowners that these things are taken into account. And it is, again, I have to support my husband in the fact that we do know that texting and talking and driving is considered a distraction.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak against this agenda item?
Hi, my name is Kim Forkey, and we have a ranch at 940 Ormsby Road. And I had talked to the gentleman that is no longer involved with this prior, and had mentioned to him that we do have a cell tower on our ranch and an FAA tower. Where this is being proposed, we're 24 feet from it, and it's all land. The AT&T representatives explained that they weren't sure if they could get the signals and location was a big factor, but they have a lot of land, high hills, where it can be put discreetly, and I'm just here to offer that option.
Okay, thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak against this agenda item?
Yes, sir, my name is Jeff Dahl, I live at 8935 Hopi in Long Hills. I feel sorry for Mr. Bray. I understand that he's looking at this for monetary gain. No, you do not get used to looking at towers. When they put it, the window of the world, or whatever it is up here on the program, I look out my window at night and I see the little red dot glowing. Every one of those things. And it has spoiled the view for me, and it angers me. Quite honestly, I don't want to see one at 140 feet, not a mile down the road from me. 2, according to the Endangered Species Act, Section 1.1307A3 of the Commission's rules, 47 CFR requires applicants, licensees, and tower owners applicants to consider the impact of proposed facility under the Endangered Species Act, 16 U.S.C. 1531 ET sequence. Applicants must determine whether any proposed facilities may affect listed threatened or endangered species or designated critical habitats, or are likely to jeopardize the continued existence of any proposed threatened or endangered species or designated critical habitats. Applicants are also required to notify the FCC and file an environmental assessment if any of these conditions exist. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service provides information that applicants may find useful regarding compliance with the ESA. Okay, that said, we have a breeding pair of bald eagles. Last year they had 3 eagles, and they taught them to fly in that little valley. We also have golden eagles, as Ms. West pointed out. We have burrowing owls. We have horned owls. We also have falcons in the area. And I don't know if there's been yet an environmental impact statement done on this, but I contacted the Game and Fish, and they weren't aware of it. They weren't aware of this proposal. So please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak against this agenda item?
dog walker, 96, 80 years age. Like the state bonus. I just don't think they did enough investigation of this tower. I can't imagine they put the darn thing down on all both the road, north of this, or west of this, up 140, I think might be a pretty hard place to put this. Just not buying into their issue. This is where it has to go. I think there's some resolved down there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak against this agenda item?
You're in trouble now, boys.
My name is Fred Lewis. I live at 1437 West Ormsby. The photos they show, they're not factual at all. They don't show the houses to the west. They don't show the ones to the north. I don't believe they show the ones to the east. They talk about limited use areas. I happened to see the map where they had laid out to take it, get to reception. The land that I offered them a year ago is in that blue area. We have power lines, there's road accessibility to it. They never contacted me once. Environmental, talk about the eagles. Their nest, and I went down there today. They're within 1 mile of it, on the road. Straight across there, less than that. Health and welfare. That pacemaker. What's it gonna do to the pacemaker? It'll go to cars. I ain't no damn car. And I guess to go back to Devon Tech. They got thrown out by a judge here in Casper because the wind wouldn't carry it a half a mile. My wife's in an Alzheimer's unit, 66 years old. I woke up paralyzed for no reason, 9th of December. There's no reason. What caused it? For Devon Tech? I don't want it happening to that tower. I don't know. There's a lot of this talked about before that I agree with 100%. Driving up and down the highway, how many deaths are caused from cell phone? How many times you go down the road and see a kid texting on it in Casper? I'd like to strangle them. And putting the windmill up on top, who are they trying to move? It's still a cell tower. I don't know. They must be thinking that they're playing with kid mentality. Put a cell tower, until they put ice cream cone on and everybody think it's a Dairy Queen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Red, just a minute.
I guess I'm a little confused. Are you opposed to the cell tower in itself, or are you opposed to the location of the cell tower?
I'm opposed to the location of it. I'm within half a mile of where it's at. I live right next door to Garrison West. Garrison Charlie West.
If it were on your property, it would be okay, is that what you're saying?
The property that I have offered to them, 2 miles from any house. It's kind of like Kevin and Mrs. Forty. The land ain't anywhere near any house.
Okay.
And there's plenty of place out there south of the tower and go north of the tower. Kevin's